Hello, folks. I know you don't know me yet. This is Moonlighting Montana. We're a new channel coming to you live with all the sports update across Montana as scores come in from high school football and college football, like Frontier. We're talking Division I. Now, for the last, I don't know how long, a couple of years, I've been following. I guess just to get into what this channel is going to be about moving forward. I won't have to do this again, hopefully. But I got really into high school football, and just so happens when you graduate from the University of Montana Western, you get to know a lot of these coaches, and you get to know a lot of people to explain their perspectives on games, which I think is a really cool insight that we can offer here as we talk about scores and kind of what's going on around the state. I remember sitting on Twitter, not much of a tweeter myself, but I do have an account specifically to follow high school sports because it was just so hard for me to navigate it and keep up with the scores, keep up with what's going on for football and basketball and such. And so I wanted to kind of create a hub here in Montana where people can get a quick check on what's going on. And so that's what we're creating here. Today, here presently, it's just myself, the co-host, I'll say, who will be with me most weeks, is gone for the first pilot episode. But I have a special guest today that I'm going to bring on a little bit later after I roll through these scores. So without further ado, I'm going to get into it. Okay, in Class AA action this week, a lot of homecoming games this week. We had Bozeman playing Billings Senior, and the Bozeman Hawks took care of business 38-3. Belgrade versus Great Falls. Now, I debated whether or not I should put Belgrade in Class A because ever since they made the switch, the growing pains really haven't stopped hurting. They got to figure it out down there in Belgrade. Coming from a former Panther alumni, I think that they need to kind of change the culture because right now they're struggling, and I think the grace period is over, and it's time to figure things out. And yeah, I'm a little harsher on my old team, I guess, than other teams. So Belgrade 7, Great Falls 49, Billings West 44, Skyview 7, proving that they are the top dog in Billings. Capital 41, Butte 0. Great football being played in Helena right now. Capital looks great. Obviously, going to talk about the Bengals a little bit later, but the Bruins took care of business 41-0. Gallatin, the Raptors, came out on top over CMR 20-17. What a win by the Gallatin Raptors. There's kind of they're painting the picture of what it should be like for Belgrade, right? Brand new school. They're doing things the right way. I think this is either their first or maybe even second senior class, and they're doing things the right way. They're becoming a better team, and they're beating good teams. CMR is really good. They're a little bit up and down, but good win by Gallatin there. Big Sky beating Missoula Hellgate with a little crosstown rivalry. In the past, it's not really been much of a rivalry. The Eagles and Big Sky usually getting beat there, but they got the win 20-19 in a barn burner in Missoula. Flathead 7, Sentinel 70. You heard me right. It's AA football, not six-man. It was 70-7. And I knew that Helena High woke up a flying purple people eater in Missoula Sentinel, and it's looking bad for every team that's going to play them. Honestly, Helena High maybe should have lost that game and kept them a little bit soft underbelly because right now Sentinel is tearing through everyone that they play, and obviously Flathead just had to be the scapegoat that took that beating. Helena High beats Glacier 24-21. What a game. Helena High still probably dancing in the locker room as we speak. That coach is doing a wonderful job there. It's hard to be a new coach and come in and not only be a new coach in AA, but for a new team, but beating good teams and really being the best AA team. And Class A, Hamilton 43, East Helena 0. That's honestly, for East Helena, they're going through the same amount of new school growing pains. I think that the fact that they were able to keep it 43 is pretty good. Hamilton's reigning state champions, right? And East Helena showed a lot of heart on defense. I think they're scrappy. I just think that they have some growing to do, and that is what they're doing in East Helena right now. Hardin 12 and Sydney 47. Miles City 54, Parks Zip. Parks just a little bit down right now, but they're not out. Corvallis 37, Steve I 8 in the Battle of the Bitterroot. I don't know how much of a battle it is because we all know the king of the Bitterroot right now is those Hamilton Bronx. And Corvallis wins that matchup. Steve I don't know what's going on. The wave has kind of hit, and the culture shift is just kind of crazy there in Steve I. They need to switch it back to that winning culture they had 10 years ago. Now, my game of the week in Class A football, we had Polson beating Sioux Falls 32-31. What a game. The kid from Polson, the quarterback gunslinger, throwing missiles. He can do it. He really can do it all. And he's really good, fun to watch. Please catch a game if you can because that was a very fun game to watch. Billings Central 38, Laurel 3. Just proving that the Rams are who they say they are because Laurel's a good football team, and that's a rout. All right, that's all I'll say about that. Butte Central 14, Beaverhead County 47. The Dillon Beavers taking care of business. Everyone's just waiting to see Doug and people shoot the rock this basketball season, so let's move past that. Frenchtown 29, Kellogg 20. Frenchtown's super solid this year. I don't even know why I should talk about this. Kellogg's not even Montana team, but we sent them home. Just kidding. I got a lot of good people up in Kellogg. So actually, way to keep it within 9, I guess, Kellogg. Glendive 12, Havre 26, Browning 6, and Libby 42. The Loggers taking care of business. Class B football, we got Glasgow, the Scotties beating Fairfield 16-6. Eureka beats Loyola 33-7. Loyola, I don't know what's going on with Loyola. I think that they must be probably a little young. I got to check the roster on that. But Loyola has the culture and they have the winning mentality. And I think that sooner rather than later, they're going to start getting things rolling again. Sometimes it takes losses like that. I think Eureka is a really good football team. But I just think that Loyola needs to kind of wake up from the days that they're in. And now, Big Fork 42, Anaconda 0. Just feel bad for Anaconda. Big Fork, they belong in A. They're going to be in A next year, and they're kind of disrupting the whole nature of Class A football with that. But Big Fork is right now the top dog in B, and it's not even close. It was because I think Jefferson was really strong at the beginning of the year. We'll get to them in a second. Townsend 35, Whitehall 0. Townsend, man alive, they are a tough team. They're a tough football team, and they kind of flew under the radar, which is a good thing going into the football year. Colstrip 0, Red Lodge 55, Malta 49, Conrad 6, T Falls 8, Florence 49. Well, T Falls, they reigning state champs battling each other. It seems weird to even say, but T Falls moving up and not having the same sort of luck that they did in the division below. But Florence, good bounce back from taking the loss to Jefferson a couple of weeks ago. I think that they'll continue to have success. I know a couple coaches from there. Might have them on one of these weeks. Huntley 56, Shepherd 16, Big Timber 14, Jefferson 19. What a game to highlight this week in Class B. Jefferson is super strong, and I guess I didn't know what they were cooking down in Big Timber. They must be having those kids doing the right sort of things because that's a very good football game by Big Timber, barely losing to Jefferson, who's solid. Okay, Baker 24, Roundup 0. Then we get over to Class C football, kind of a mix of 8-man and 6-man football here. Flint Creek 48, Cascade 20. Now, I should say no surprise because Flint Creek won the football game, but Cascade keeping it within 28 on Flint Creek. Flint Creek is so dang strong. And for Cascade to keep it that close, I'm impressed with them. North Star 55, Sunburst 19, Joliet 8, Belt 28. I think Belt's really strong this year, and I'll have some more insight on that with you guys in a second. Hobson 7, Chester 22, Absaroka 0, Broadview, Lavina 57, Plains, the Horsemen lose to Arlee 8-44. Big Sandy put the big beat down on Box Elder 60-7. St. Ignatius shuts out Charlo 44-0. Wow. Charlo's a strong football team. Good for Mission taking care of business there. They look really good this year. Chinook, the Sugar Beaters, take on St. Regis. They beat them 42-26. Shoto 18, Lone Peak 22, Mondack 8, Fairview 58. That's right, Fairview, send them back. They don't need to be coming into Montana and playing us. I know we're trying to fill games and all, but they don't belong, right? Culbertson 59, Plentywood 19. Forsyth, the Dogies, taking on Lodgegrass and absolutely pummeling them 76-0. Fort Benton 58, Harlem 12. Wow, Fort Benton strong again this year. Hot Springs 38, Knoxon 26. Webo 42, Jordan 25, and Custer 56, Fromberg 6. That's your class. That's your class by class rundown of the scores this week. Couple of shockers, honestly, if I'm going to be honest with you guys. And I want to kind of highlight some games. First, though, the game that I didn't mention in the Class C matchup here was Ennis versus Deer Lodge, and I actually have the coach on with me today. I'm going to ask him a few questions about the Ennis Mustangs because I think it's a very interesting team to talk about. So, everybody, welcome Mike Speck to the chat.
You got me?
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Oh,
Thanks
I'm
for having me on, man.
just peachy, you bet. So what I kind of wanted to talk to you about, I don't actually remember what your guys' record was last year. What was the final record for the Ennis Mustangs last year?
3-5. We beat Absorkey, Forsyth, and let's see here. We beat Absorkey, Forsyth, and Twin Bridges. Lost to the rest.
And so I guess I remember talking to you last year, kind of just about the football team, and you've been coaching now. How was this your second year?
This is my second year head coach. I coached under Chris Hess for 4 years. He had been here for 2 years before that, so he had been here for 6 years, and then he moved on to Forsyth actually.
Gotcha.
So second year head coach here in Ennis.
Gotcha. And so that is, I don't know what it takes to have such a monumental ascent coming from 1 year to the next. I sometimes it's attributed to age, sometimes it's contributed to people getting on the same page. If you have the secret recipe for culture, whatever that may be. But how do you take it? Because I know a lot of people that were not putting Ennis in maybe their top, I don't know, we could even say top 10 picking at the beginning of this year, and they were picking, Sims to beat you guys. People were picking Flint Creek to absolutely rout you. Then you come out and kind of surprise some people. What do you attribute that to? Is it off-season stuff? Age? Where do you think you find the success there?
I think there's a lot to say for that question, but Chris Hess, he had a good culture. I mean, he's brought a lot of teams back in the day. He brought Forsyth to the playoffs for the first time in like 20 years, and he had an awesome culture. Obviously, coaching under him, I learned a lot as far as offense. I'm kind of more of a defensive guy. We run a lot of his terminology, not necessarily his offense. So he had, the juniors now he had as freshmen, and so the seniors now he had as sophomores, and so they knew what was going on. As far as football goes, man, I mean, culture is huge. So I think I kind of had that one up as far as learning that stuff from Chris Hess, but and we've continued a lot of that tradition. But we do a lot of things as far as just football wise, obviously, but off the football field, we do a lot of things like. For instance, we do the football fire, and everybody throws something in the fire while they're playing football, why they're a part of this brotherhood, why they're a part of this family, and we get all the ashes out of the fire, and that's what we use for our eye black on Friday night. And we do a chant. We do different theme nights at the volleyball games. Little things like that, and I could go on and on about that. But the culture thing is huge. This last off season was awesome. It was obviously my first full year. Hess stepped out about halfway through the summer last year. It's my first full summer with the kids, and I never had less than 14 kids. I know that doesn't sound like very many, but when you got an 8-man team, that's more than half usually. And that's one thing going into the season. Anybody that ever asked about how I thought our season was going to go, I'm like, I'm worried about the culture. I'm worried about how these kids are going to respond. We only lost 2 seniors last year. but they were dudes that had started since they were sophomores. Super good leaders. One of them was very local. One of them was kind of a quiet leader that talked with his pads, and that's what I was worried about. But again, we only have 4 seniors this year, and three of them are captains, and we got one junior as a captain, and they just kind of take care of that's the role I give them, is take care of the turmoil, take care of the BS, take care of if you guys hear of a lot more that's going on with the kids than I do. I know I'm in the school every day, but you hear of a lot more than I do, and let me know what's going on. We'll figure out how to fix it. Um, but as far as building the program, I don't want to say I built the program from the ground up, because I didn't. Ennis has always had a really good tradition of football. I mean, they won the state championship 6 years ago. Before that, they were in the semis. The year after that, they were in the semis. They won the state championship in 13. So they've always had a strong culture, and obviously that expectation of making it deep into the playoffs. But for the last 3 years, I mean, we haven't had much, but we really haven't had much as far as numbers either. And I would say we're still young. Um, like I said, we only have 4 seniors. We got 11 juniors. We got 6 sophomores, and then we got 10 freshmen. So I mean, I'd say we're still young. Obviously, that junior class dominates the number size of it, but um, overall, I wouldn't say that I built the culture from the ground up, but I think we got a good thing going. The kids are bought in, and what's nice is I've been in Ennis for 7 years now, and these juniors that I have, I uh, I was coaching as 5th graders in basketball, and so I got a good rapport with those kids.
Yeah, and yeah, and it shows. And I guess it's hard to highlight it, but because obviously a ton of those juniors that you're mentioning do put in a lot of hard work. But I kind of want to narrow down and focus in on the gunslinger that you have at
Yeah,
quarterback, because holy cow, I think I've watched 3 Ennis Mustang games this year on NFHS, and my man was throwing it way past the camera, out of view. Guys were catching it. I didn't know how they were catching it. Didn't know if they were inbounds. He was throwing off his back foot, his front foot, kind of off. The way he throws it's interesting. I watched the Polson quarterback kind of do the same thing, where he's rolling out and he can throw it the same. And this kid, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it's like. He's almost mesmerizing to watch for me, because I don't understand how he's doing it and how he continues to do it the whole game. And so, and maybe you can, I don't know him he's kind of like, all of a sudden, for me, eyes open to this kid. So maybe you
right.
could talk more about him, and what where he came from.
Yeah, he's actually a super interesting kid. He's got a long story. Clinton Byan is his name. He's actually the Byan name. Anybody that's watching this, that's a Sheridan name. I mean, I grew up playing Mike Byan. I grew up playing Marcus Byan. Marcus is his dad. Marcus was a little bit older than me. I can't say I grew up playing him, but I grew up playing his uncle Mike. So he drives over from Sheridan from Sheridan every day, and he's drove over from Sheridan since he was a kindergartner. But you said you couldn't pinpoint that, what was so interesting about him, but he's just a freak athlete. He works hard in the weight room. He's lengthy. He's 6'2". He doesn't weigh a lot. I'll put him in that 160 category, maybe 170. He's getting bigger, but the kid is a competitor, and he's not the dude we're gonna be running 17 sweep every day or every play, an 18 sweep, whatever it might be, quarterback keep. He can't run downhill hard because he's not huge, but he is just an athlete, and he's a leader. I said one of our juniors was our captains. It's not him, which is interesting. Your quarterback's not one of your captains, but um, when the way we do our captainship stuff is I have kids come in and talk to me the first couple weeks of football, and give me their name, and I kind of give them the role as a captain, and I have the kids vote on it. And he was short a vote, and that, I think that's what kicked him in gear this year, was fallen short there, but he's still a leader, and that was my message. Yeah, I know you wanted to be a captain, but there's no reason why you can't still act like a captain, be a role model, and be a leader. But he yeah, he's just an athlete, and we went to camp in June, and he lit it up there, obviously too. But they're doing these quarterback drills, with footwork and getting the ball out quick and working in space and stuff, and he's not going to be the number one dog in those drills. I mean, his footwork isn't perfect. He learns on the fly, and obviously we drill him down, but everything he does is unorthodox, and I think that's something special especially to have at QB. But his story, I mean, like I said, he's from Sheridan, and I've coached him since he was a sixth grader. In basketball and football a little bit when he was a junior high kid, but he's always been that competitor and never liked to lose. And he's always been one of the best athletes on the floor, whether it's our team or their team, or on the field. Um, Last year, like I said, we lost two seniors. One of them was our starting quarterback last year, Brand Osler. He was a great quarterback as far as fundamentals go, footwork, vision, checking down, things like that. But we replaced him with Clinton, and Clinton's not your he sees all his check downs, he sees all of his options, he sees his one, he sees his two, he sees his three. Um, but he's unorthodox and he does a lot of that stuff on the fly. He's a good football player.
Yeah, he is, and he's very exciting. I'm excited to watch him going forward. As you guys take on who do you guys got next week?
We have Shoto, which is an interesting matchup. I don't know what to think about him. I haven't watched a ton of film on him. Obviously, it's only Saturday, but they beat Sheridan by 6, and then they turned around and almost beat Lone Peak last week, and Lone Peak beat Cascade. So our conference is a little whack right now, obviously, but I don't know. I don't know what to think of them yet, but I like I said, we have a lot of culture things, but we never take a team lightly. Period. I mean, if they're not firing on all cylinders, a powder puff team could beat you. I mean,
Well,
it's pretty easy, and I mean, granted, we're talking about it's so funny we're having these conversations. We're talking about 14 through 17-year-old kids, and at the end of the day, they are kids, and they're gonna mess up, and they're gonna do silly things, and I'm talking about football here, but at the end of the day, they got to show up and play no matter who they're playing. It's interesting.
yeah. Well, yeah,
Funny
and
concept.
I think that it shows in the defeat you had first year lodge because
Yeah.
from one, like what do you have? You don't want to be the team that comes out and completely back. It's almost more insulting. Teams want teams to come play them. That's how you transfer culture, and that kind of goes into a long story. But here I'm going to take you on a journey with me as we kind of talk about it. You might not know as much. You might know a ton. I honestly haven't even asked you these questions yet, but just going through what my interesting 2 games from each class being this last week, a lot of homecoming weeks and a really wet week. So that could have contributed to it. Rain across the state, who knows? I mean, that's just excuses for the teams. But in Class AA, I don't know if you've been seeing Twitter, but the coach at Helena High's legs are burning because he's been dancing for about 3 weeks now in the locker room. And Helena High beats Glacier, and Glacier is tough. First of all, Helena High has a kid on it. His name is Manu Mello. Okay, Manu Mello has 144 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns. And Cohen, I'm going to mess this name up. Castellets goes for 152 yards receiving, but no touchdowns. But this Manu Mello kid out of Helena High is the real deal. And like I said, coach is dancing. This kid's got 11 touchdowns, 12 total this year already. Almost 100. He had 118 yards against Great Falls, 27 yards, so a little bit lighter, but still a touchdown in that game. 56 yards receiving against Butte, 72 against Hellgate, 96 against Sentinel, and then absolutely went bonkers against Glacier. Hasn't had a game without a touchdown yet. So So we kind of understand where they're getting their firepower from. But what do you think about Helena football? Helena football surprising a few folks, huh?
Yeah. I think it's. Obviously I don't follow Double A as much as I'm scouting for our football team. But here 2 weeks ago, one of our assistant coaches, Braden McKittrick, mentioned Helena High, and I started following him a little bit. And that mellow kid, looking at him, and I just pulled up a couple clips on an FHS and watched him a little bit. He's like I was mentioning Clinton. I'm not going to compare him, but smooth.
Yep.
His routes are so crisp, and he's kind of a I don't know. I don't know how to explain him, but he's obviously obviously a freak athlete. But man, that quarterback getting him throwing for over 300 yards against Glacier, that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Especially from a high school quarterback, and comparing to a Clinton that we got in Ennis. Obviously, we're on a shorter field, but he hasn't had a 300-yard game. He's had a 4 touchdown game, But Helena High, they're the real deal for sure.
The Bengals are the real deal, and they also.
Yep.
I feel bad even mentioning this, but I got to because I don't see a score line like this all that often. But Sentinel Spartans they had their fever dream against Helena High, and Helena High comes out and beats them and completely
Yep.
shocks Montana. And then Sentinel goes on, yesterday to beat Flathead 70-7.
Yeah, that's a basketball. That's a 6-man score for sure. I don't know if I've ever heard of a score. 70-7. That's wild.
Well, we know that the Sentinel coaches aren't pleased because I don't know. I don't know if he was doing it to them, but I just don't know how they put up that many points. I don't even want to look at the box score of that one because it's going to hurt. But I guess we'll move over to Class A and get out of that one. I shouldn't even laugh because I feel bad for Flathead. It's a tough pill to swallow. I don't think they're that bad. I think the Sentinel's that good. But moving over to Class A, clearly game of the week. Everyone, at least in Class A that I know, especially Coach Murray after the Hamilton game that they had, of course. But everyone had their eyes glued to Polson Sioux Falls. Polson comes out with the victory at 32-31. I'm going to take a shot in the dark here.
Polson
Go for it.
Polson quarterback's the real deal, man. He's good.
He's really good, and I know his dad. I wish I could remember his name right now, but he's got a brother that plays on the team. I think his brother plays wide receiver, and he's really good too. But yeah, the Polson quarter. No, I'm going to take a shot here, and obviously the Billings Central Rams are doing dastardly deeds in the East, and they're kicking the crud out of just anybody who comes near them. And obviously Billings Central kind of has that long running just winning streak. I don't know a year that they've been bad, but I'm going to say Polson's winning it this year, and I think it's a shock, but not anymore because Sioux Falls is a really good team, huge school, so they have a lot of kids to pull from, but I think the Polson Pirates win State A. I just don't. What you said, it, the quarterback's really good. Have you had a chance to see him or hear anything about him or the Polson Pirates this year?
Not specifically. I obviously look at box scores and the news and MTN and all that stuff, but he is good. And I'll take a shot in the dark too and say he's the best quarterback in the state as far as high school quarterbacks go.
Yep, he's a fun one to watch. I mean, that's just what a
And I didn't catch an age. Is he a senior?
He is. I think he's a senior, and I actually want to say his brother's his twin, Polson. He's a. Oh, come here. Let's find you. Jarrett Wilson is his name, and I don't know if he is a senior or not, but man, he is tough.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, he's really good. So we got to keep an eye on that kid because he's going to be making strides. I don't know what his plans are after or what anything is, but we wish him the best of luck. Now moving over to Class B, we kind of had a time to talk about this before the actual video. But Big Timber and Jefferson, I wanted to highlight it because there might be two happening here. when I watched Jefferson at the beginning of the year, when they beat Florence, when they lost the
Yep.
Big Fork, who Big Fork is so good they're kicking them out of Class B next year. When they lost by 2 touchdowns to Big Fork, they come into Big Timber, and I go through the score stream, and I just expect Jefferson to be beating teams. And when I see that they barely beat Big Timber by 5, I'm wondering what's going on east of us and what the heck's happened in Big Timber, because they must have a pretty good football program.
Yeah, I have no idea, honestly, because I mean, last week they played Three Forks. Obviously, I know Connor Sullivan pretty well over in Three Forks, and looking into that game, I thought Three Forks was going to come with the W. Big Timber pounded them. Jefferson, obviously beating Florence was huge, but losing to Big Fork by a reachable score is crazy too. But Coach, I want to give a shout out to Coach Lang too over in Jefferson. I know he went through some turmoil in the offseason. What that was all about, I don't really know. But I know I played against him in high school. He coached for Sheridan, and obviously had some good teams there. I mean, they made the semifinals when I was a senior, and I don't remember if they won a state title back then, but I know Coach Lang is a dude, and he runs a pretty tight knit program and he knows how to coach football. And what's funny is the buy-ins. What our quarterback, their uncle and his dad and whatever, they all played for Clint Lang, and they'll tell you every day of the week that he was a dude and an awesome coach. But yeah, I expected Jefferson to pound him, and it was a 1-score game. It was pretty wild. I don't know. I haven't watched any stream on it. I don't know if there was a bunch of turnovers or what, or if it was just a hard-nosed football game.
Yeah, and I think that whatever happened, the Twitter, like we were saying, helter skelter in the offseason going on with Jefferson, and I mean, I have more insight on it. For professional reasons, I'll keep it to myself. But whatever happened woke those kids up in the weight room, because they looked like they
Yep.
ate the. I've never seen teams so big in Class B. They're big, they're strong, fast, and it's that mentality. I mean, they're just flat out more athletic than other teams. So good for Big Timber.
Yep.
Better for Jefferson. Keep the winning streak alive, especially after losing to Townsend, who's another team we haven't really even talked about, because they've just
And
been.
I was actually surprised. Townsend. I mean, Townsend seems to be reloading every year too. I mean, after losing, I know they lost more than the Hovland kid, but Hovland kid is actually Andy Newman's cousin. That was a quarterback last year in Townsend, and he was a dude. He's playing football for Western now, and I can't remember the other kid's name. I don't know if he went to play the year before. He went to play for the Grizzlies. I should know his name. But they reload every year. It seems like they got a tough program, and I can't. Coach Rao over in Townsend obviously runs a pretty dang good program too.
They must be, because they put a little bit of a smackdown on Jefferson. So good for them. And
Yep.
then finally, for the Class C here, I kind of wanted to this highlight for me to highlight these two teams is just to build my knowledge on it. I looked more into it. If I look into Joliet football, I don't a whole lot. Even on Max Preps, I don't know if they need to get a statistician over there or whatnot. But
Right.
I know coming into the season was ranked pretty high in the state of Montana as far as football goes. So I know
Yep.
their team, Belt, who I know absolutely nothing about. The only thing I know about Belt is last year they had a good basketball program, and that doesn't really tell us a whole lot. Look at Butte Central, great basketball program, struggling football wise. But we got
Right.
Belt, Joliet 28-8, and there must be something going on that's going well
Up
for me.
north. Yeah, so I know quite a bit about Joliet. We've played them for the last 5 years. They were in our conference until we realigned this last year, and now they're over in that. I think the southeast is what they're calling it. We're South Central. And I knew Joliet was going to win that conference pretty easily. I mean, Park City's been a top dog in our conference for the last few years. They're down quite a bit this year, but Joliet. I mean, we had them at camp. They're big. They're big dudes, and they always have big dudes. I don't know if they have a lot of numbers in enrollment or what, but Georgie, he's the head coach. He's been the coach over there for a while. Um, he's got an awesome program. He's got some pretty dang good assistant coaches, and I told my assistants and our kids this year or this week. I said we're going to find out how good Belt is because they're playing Joliet, and obviously they're the real deal. I was surprised to see that score after our game. Our game got over pretty early, and I look at the score, and I think at that point it was 20-8 or something like that. But yeah, it's interesting that Belt, Belt, obviously, I don't know if you would call it turmoil or what you would call it, but Jeff Graham was the head coach there forever, and now he's the head basketball coach over at Tech. But that was late in the year too. He might have started a program, but I heard his assistant took over, and obviously probably living by the same dreams or same offense, same defense, same culture, and he has a good program. But I can't speak to Belt in the last couple of years just because we haven't played them, and we really haven't been in the playoffs. I mean, first round and we're out. But here, I guess it was the 17 team. So four or five seasons ago, we played Belt in the quarterfinals, and they were a tough squad. Um, they run some odd formations, and it's tough to cover. And I'm sure they're doing that same thing, but they always reload too.
Yeah.
But Joliet's the real deal. I mean, I think they were ranked for a reason. They're big. They lost their, in my opinion, best player last year. He was a dude. I mean, he was a 215-pound running back. I would say his name was Rye. He was really good. But George has a good program over there too.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and like you said, I mean, it's clearly coach on coach, well coach team versus well coach team. When you got 8-man scores going 8-28, I mean, it's just a
Yeah.
battle, kind of a chess
Yep.
game. The 56s, the 70s, and so I mean, their teams to look forward going forward, especially in Class C, as well as the Ennis Mustangs and a couple of these names I've been kind of glued to what's going on in Class C football. And I
Yeah,
don't
I
go
kind of
ahead.
wanted to just touch base on a couple teams that I have my ear out for. I guess obviously Belt. I think they're up there. Joliet's been on my radar. Um, Flint Creek was on. They had a big old bright fluorescent orange X on their back last week that wish we could have checked off our box, but they got an awesome program. They got a tough offense to stop, and I think Cutler started something awesome over there a few years ago when they started that co-op. But Superior's tough to play. They throw the ball a lot. Mission, we played them a couple years ago here in the regular season on a bye week, and that was when Tyler Murray was over there. But he started something cool over there. I mean, you don't see a lot of 8-man squads throwing the rock like they do and having some offensive schemes like they do. And then, I mean, I don't want to take everything away from our conference either. I mean, I think Flint Creek's a real freaking deal.
Yeah.
I think we're something to be reckoned with too. And honestly, I think Sims and I don't know about Cascade yet. Cascade's a wild card for me, but Sims is coached by Fred Fredrickson. I mean, he won a state title here a few years back with Ennis, so that was a rivalry for us too. But
Yeah.
Fairview in the East, they're wrecking teams too. And then up in the north, like I said, Belt, Fort Benton, Chinook are all forces to be reckoned with as well.
Yeah. Class C football is exciting to watch this year. Got good teams all over the state. It's get into those upper classes, and you have, I mean, Class A only has the small pool of teams. They're still having 70-point games, so sometimes you just don't have the programs to match up against a Missoula Sentinel one year or a Big Fork one year. But when you get into Class C, man, it's almost like watching a game of chess, and you just have to kind of play the cards. It's very interesting to watch. So I appreciate that insight. And as for the end of that, we'll kind of roll out of here. I really appreciate you joining. If there's anything you'd like to
I got
say,
six man state championship. Broadview Lavina versus Big Sandy. Big Sandy gets the W.
shout out Tucker
Come on, Tucker Taylor. Let's roll.
down in Big Sandy. We're gonna have to have him on one of these days.
He
Shout
came
out.
up and played us in 8-man. I'm gonna call him out too. He came up and played us in 8-man at camp and engaged 8 every play. Punk.
Well, shout like the aggression from me, and I would like to
He's got
see.
some dudes up there though, man. He's got some dudes that are big, strong, and
Yeah,
got the right intentions, man. So
but classy football, man. How do you coach basketball on a football field? But good.
track meet.
I appreciate what he's doing up there. But yeah, appreciate your time this week, and wish you all the luck in the world going against Shoto this next weekend, and looking forward to having you on this going forward. Kind of just getting started. You're a trendsetter. You're a path blazer. So appreciate you having you on, and have a great rest of your night, and good luck next week.
Will do, man. Thank you for having me. And go Bobcats, right? They're on, I think.
Go Bobcats. Let's get to it.
We'll see.
All right. Catch you later, Mikey.
Thanks, Andrew.
Bye. And so that was Coach Mike Speck out of Ennis. Really good guy. Feels like we got Western Bulldogs all over the state, which is a very good tool for us here at Moonlight Montana to get you guys in touch with these guys, and hear kind of the stories that you do with the buy-in Booyan kid that is at Ennis. Would have had no clue. And so there's a lot of guys. There's a list that I've made of guys that I want to talk to, including Tucker Rex Taylor out of Big Sandy. I mean, the list goes on. Tyler Murray out of East Helena. We got Reese Cox out coaching in Charlo. We could talk basketball, football. We know a lot of coaches, and so Darren out of Victor, and so there's just coaches that we know all over the state, and so I think that's kind of what this show is going to be mostly built on, is maybe offering you guys the scores and some personal opinions on those teams that you see week to week and that you're wondering about rooting for, and putting your culture in for your towns to keep people together through the sport in Montana, kind of like we did in the old days. And so we can offer that by getting stories like we heard tonight, and talking to coaches and getting their insight on games coming up and games played in the past. So appreciate everyone who watched. Just know in the future, this setting is it means probably going to change. I'm looking to get more equipment and to make it a regular thing. Now, this isn't something that it's done out of fun and love for Montana sports and love for the people that are involved with it, and the kids becoming adults, and just the process of it all, offering back what we can. And so it's done out of fun. It's done for entertainment. And so we'll move forward, upgrading the set so the viewing pleasure is increased week to week. But really appreciate whoever watches this. And moving forward, when my co-host returns, we'll have more action with you next weekend. Some more football going on, kind of getting that into the a later stretch of the season, so things get a little bit more interesting. Wins start feeling a little bigger, losses start hurting and stinging a little bit more. But like I said, appreciate you guys. This is Moonlighting Montana. Have a wonderful night and sleep well.